Great men come from the heart of suffering, and so do great nations. And a great example for this is Armenians, because this beautiful and peaceful nation is made from the many men and women who excel in every imaginable thing. Who among us didn't hear about a great Armenian doctor, a talented performer, or a gifted musician? But we are not here today to speak about Armenians, because it is a long epic, and today is only about one story of this great epic. Our story is about Syrian Armenians. Armenians have lived in Syria for a long time, but this long period of time didn't affect their traditions, nor did it make them live in an isolated island, distancing themselves from their fellow countrymen. Instead, their differences made Syria brighter, like the intense color of orange which brightens the Syrian carpet. Syrian Armenians are direct descendants from the heights of Armenia, where there are only 3,215,800 Armenians in Armenia, compared to more than 6 million Armenians spread all over the world. This little fact reveals a lot about the nature of this life-loving people. Syria contains the 6th largest Armenian population outside Armenia, which adds to 190,000 population that consists the Armenian community in Syria, which is another thread in the colorful painting that is Syria, a painting where every color complements the other in perfect harmony. The Armenian society integrated within the Syrian society. It plays an active part in this society. The Armenians are mainly gathered in Aleppo now, and some are in Damascus, in addition to some historical places where they lived forever, such as Aramo and Yakubia in Latakia. This building is an everlasting mark of the great men and women who once lived here. In some places where Armenians lived for a long time and then left seeking better lives overseas, the memory of the land is still full of their images and little memories. In 301 AD, Armenia became the first nation to adopt Christianity as a state religion, ushering a new era in the history of the Armenian people and other nations.
The existence of Armenian in this region in Syria is very old. The first mention in the history about the Armenian in Syria goes to the time of the Armenian king Dikran II, or the Great, in the years 970 DC. Although the Armenians have been on the Syrian territories from the past time, but they have started to know Jerusalem and pay visit to its holy places at the end of the 5th century and in the beginning of the 7th century. The pilgrims have passed from many cities by traveling from Armenia to Palestine for pilgrimage. So in many big cities in Syria like Latakia, Damascus, Aleppo, etc., the Armenian had a service station for the Armenian pilgrims. They used to come from Armenia and from the north and go to the holy places, to Jerusalem, to Palestine. For the Armenian pilgrims has been the start of a spiritual place in these cities. Later, it has become national ecclesiastic lively station till it was transferred to an independent diocese. The Armenian communities were established after the refugee waves in the beginning of 20th century, so that the number of the Armenians in Syria today is nearly 120,000. The life of the Armenian colony has started to form in 1920s and 1930s, and the recent lively image of Armenian life is considered the authentical and increasing continuation of the past. Today, the Armenian community in Syria is organized in two dioceses, Diocese of Aleppo and Diocese of Damascus. So, national, ecclesiastical, educational, cultural, charitable, and constructional multifarious and various efforts and works have been spread all over the two dioceses. Highly ranked Armenian militants, as example, the General Aram Karamanukyan and Colonel Joseph Bayramyan, have participated in the Syrian army. Nowadays, the lawyer Sumbul Sumbulyan, who lives and works in Aleppo, is member in the Syrian People's Council or Syrian Parliament. So, in Syria, we can practice our religion and our culture in a tolerance atmosphere in coexistence with other confessions and religions.
The long tale of the union between Christianity and Armenians never prevented them from being good neighbors with Muslims. And who can prove this better than the Grand Mufti of Syria, His Eminence Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Badr Din Hassoun?
حينما نتكلم عن الإنسان في سوريا نتكلم عنه مواطنة وحبا وابنا لسوريا. لا ننظر إلى الإنسان في سوريا من خلال عقيدته ولا من خلال إثنيته، إنما ننظر إليه من خلال مواطنته ووفائه وحبه. لذلك لو نظرنا إلى تاريخ بلاد الشام والتي أؤمن بها أكثر مما هي في مساحتها اليوم، فأنا الذي أعرفه أن منطقتنا هي منطقة استقبال الحضارة الإنسانية التي تبدأ من أنطاكيا إلى غزة ومن البحر إلى معان أو تبوك. هذه المنطقة هي منطقة حضارة إنسانية وليس حضارات، لأن صانع الحضارة هو الإنسان. ولذلك لا أستطيع أن أقول هنالك حضارة سورية وحضارة مصرية وحضارة فلسطينية، وكذلك لا أستطيع أن أقول حضارة أرمنية وحضارة عربية. هنالك في سوريا حضارة إنسانية أقرأها في التاريخ. حينما أقف أمام المسجد الأموي في دمشق وأجد أن عمره آلاف السنين، وأقف أمام قلعة حلب لأجد عمرها آلاف السنين، هل بناها أرمني عربي مسلم؟ من بناها؟ بناها إنسان حضاري. لذلك حينما كانت سوريا مأوى آمن لمن يظلم في أرضه، وكانت سوريا دائما مهوى أفئدة كل أصحاب الشرائع السماوية، فعاشت فيها المسيحية بحريتها، ومن قبلها إبراهيم مشى في أرضها، ومن قبله ومن بعده موسى نظر إليها أنها الأرض المباركة، ومن بعدهم محمد صلى الله عليه أجمعين نظر إلى أن بلاد الشام هي الأمن والأمان إلى يوم القيامة. لذلك كانت أنظار الناس حينما يخافون في أوطانهم أو يظلمون إلى بلاد الشام يلجؤون. وهذا ما نشهده في العصور المتقاربة الآن، فيما حدث في فلسطين، فيما يحدث في لبنان منذ عامين، فيما حدث في العراق، كيف أن سوريا فتحت أبوابها وقلبها لكل أبناء الأمة دون النظر إلى إثنيتهم ولا إلى دينهم ولا إلى مرجعياتهم، إنما كانت تشعرهم أنكم ما دمتم في سوريا تؤمنون بالمواطنة بحق دائما الإنسان في أن يعيش حرا كريما دون ظلم، فأهلا بكم ولكم ما لنا وعليكم ما علينا. لذلك حينما نذكر الإخوة الأرمن لا أذكرهم أنهم جاءوا من أرمينيا هاجرين لأرمينيا، إنما كانوا مهجرين منها، هجروا منها، فلا أحد يهجر وطنه ولا أحد يترك أرضه، ولكن الظلم هو الذي يجعله يترك الموقع الذي كان فيه. ومن هنا نجد أن كل الإثنيات التي هي في سوريا إما كانت نتيجة ظلم في أرضها أو طلب للعلم في أرضنا أو طلب للغذاء في منطقتنا أو طلب للتحرك الحضاري كما نتحدث عن طريق الحرير يوما ما. من هنا نجد أن الإثنيات التي توجد في سوريا إثنيات متعددة، ليس الأرمن فقط، هنالك الجركس، هنالك الأتراك، هنالك الأكراد، هنالك التركمان، هنالك الأرمن، كلهم جاءوا إلى سوريا طلبا للأمن والأمان، إما حضاريا أو فكريا أو ثقافيا أو روحيا أو هروبا من ظلم. ومن هنا نجد أن الأرمن الذين خرجوا من أرمينيا واتجهوا في الأول إلى تركيا حقيقة ليعيشوا فيها في أمان، ففوجئوا بما حدث، فجاءوا إلى حلب وإلى الجزيرة، أول ما بدأوا بحلب والجزيرة، وكانت هنا قبائل عربية، المنطقة منطقة قبائل، فكانت نساء القبائل العربيات تحمل أطفال الأرمن مع أمهاتهم. وأعرف كثيرا من شيوخ العشائر من كان يأخذ الأولاد ليرضعوا مع أولاده من زوجاتهم أو من أمهاتهم، ولذلك أجد أن كثيرا من الإخوة الأرمن الآن لهم أم عربية في الرضاعة ولهم أم أرمنية، وهذا شهدناه قبل 40 سنة أو 50 سنة كيف وقف ذاك الشاب الأرمني الذي عاش في خيمة ذاك البدوي العربي شيخ العشيرة يوم توفيت زوجته، وإذا بها هي تبنت هذا الطفل يوم جاء مع أمه وهو أحد التوائم التي كانت تحمله تلك الأم الأرمنية، فحملت واحدا منها معها إلى حلب وتركت الثاني عند تلك المرأة العربية المسلمة ترضعه من ثديها. وبلغهم أن هذه الأم ماتت، فخرج الأخ الأرمني من حلب إلى أخيه الأرمني الذي رضع الحليب العربي، وبدأ يستقبلان المعزين في أم واحدة. هذا شهدناه كثيرا في حضارتنا. لذلك نحن في سوريا لا نعتقد أو لا نقول بقيام دولة إثنية أي من نوع واحد، إنما دولة مدنية حضارية ينبت في أرضها كل من كان وفيا لأرضها، ولا نقول بقيام دولة دينية على دين واحد، إنما دولة تحتضن كل أصحاب الشرائع السماوية في أرضها ما داموا مواطنين صالحين يخدمون دينهم ووطنهم وأمتهم، ولا نطلب منهم عدم الوفاء لأرضهم. لا أطلب من الأرمني أن لا يكون وفيا لأرمينيا، بل أعتبر وفاءه لأرمينيا وفاء لسوريا.
Small Armenian trading communities have existed outside of Armenia for centuries. For example, a community has existed for over a millennium in the Holy Land, and one of the four quarters of the world old city of Jerusalem has been called the Armenian Quarter. Armenian communities were never separated from their neighbors because they refused to be an isolated island because of their distinctive qualities, such as being peaceful, open-minded, and friendly.
Syria is the center of inter-religious coexistence, and the Syrian Armenians are the true example of this phenomenon. So Syria is the living sample of coexistence and great school, as well as to give the lecture or lectures in this issue.
As a Syrian Armenian musician, I teach in National Arab Conservatory.
I'm a researcher also in Armenian music, and especially about the both effects on music. We have a Baroque trio, which is one of Syrian chamber ensembles. We usually present some medieval musics, and one of my works also in music is the music of Turab al-Ghuraba, the film produced by Syrian National Film Organization and directed by well-known local artist who Mr. Samir Zikra. The film speaks about Sheikh Abdurrahman Kawakbi, his thoughts and life, and there I used the theme of the Adhan, the prayer, which was arranged for orchestra, developed and arranged for orchestra, just to present the theme of good among the bad points or the bad theme, which is the occupation, the force of occupation. And the Sheikh Abdurrahman Kawakbi, we know that he was one of very famous Arab national movement pioneers.
Armenian culture is as rich as the history of these people. Armenian dancing and music are very beautiful and meaningful. In Armenian dancing, people dance in circles together, manifesting the endless cycle of life. This type of dancing shows the good and friendly nature of Armenians and their grace. Armenian dancing is similar to other forms of traditional dances in Syria, a fact that shows the great deal of interaction between civilizations in this region. Another form of Armenian culture is music. Although Armenian traditional music and chanting is renowned all over the world, the Armenians are famous for other kinds of music. Armenian instruments are unique, but also popular. So popular that Yanni, the famous artist, used them in one of his concerts.
The song will begin once again with our Venezuelan friend Pedro Eustache playing a 2,500-year-old Armenian instrument called the duduk. It's called Love Is All.
The duduk, the hol, zurna and kanun are some of Armenian instruments, and Misak Baghbudarian is another aspect of Armenian musical creativity.
Like most of the Syrian Armenians, I can say that I'm living my life in Syria as all the Syrians. So it's difficult to find or to feel the difference between me and the others. Besides that, I'm the conductor of the Syrian National Symphony Orchestra, and my life is daily with contact with the society, with the Syrian people. In home, I feel a little bit more Syrian with my family when I speak Armenian, but I can feel the difference when I'm going out. So I still feel home, but maybe with different language than speaking Arabic. Actually, I was studying also in Arabic schools, and I went to Europe by scholarship with Syrian government. That is make me work also with the National Symphony Orchestra. We're doing programs, classical repertoire. I'm traveling with the Symphony Orchestra as a principal conductor to many countries. We went to Lebanon, Jordan, Emirates, Oman, Bahrain, Turkey, Italy, and we have more and more in our plans for the Symphony Orchestra. And one of my best moments, I can say, was when we played Khachadurian music with the symphony orchestra. So it's classical music written for the symphony orchestra. But in some parts, I feel my heart was also dancing during that music. So it's great for me to be Syrian Armenian.
He is an excellent musician, a maestro, and the conductor of the world-class Syrian National Symphony Orchestra. He conducted the symphony in many important concerts, nurturing both the national pride and music appetite. And when we speak about music and dancing, we can't ignore the combination of those two elements that lead into the formula of festivals. Cassis Mount stands between the Orontes River and angle marking the Mediterranean beach. It's 6 kilometers to the north of Latakia. Kesab, with its Armenian residents, sits on top of Al-Aqra Mount. The village is surrounded by 11 smaller villages with Armenian residents as well. What can you tell us about the existence of the Armenians in Kesab?
Armenians settled in Syria mostly and in this area at very ancient times, but mostly there was a big migration from Giligia area in the 12th century, and a cluster of Armenian villages was established between the sea and around the Orontes Valley up to Idlib area. The Armenians that settled here found traces of ancient Christian civilizations, ruined old churches, old chapels, graveyards, and they rebuilt these and made them special reverence places for them.
Why do Syrian Armenians still celebrate the Virgin Mary's Day here in Kesab?
Yeah. First, we have to state that the Virgin Mary is especially revered saint by the Armenian people. And this comes from the background of the Armenians' Hellenic beliefs before the Christian era, where Anahit was the most revered goddess, the goddess of chastity and motherhood. This had deep roots in the Armenian people. So when the Armenians of Anatolia and Western Armenian parts were outrooted and were settled mostly in Aleppo and in Damascus, in Latakia, in Beirut, they found the only sacred place that dated from the old times still standing in Kesab. And they wanted to replace their celebrities that they used to have in their homelands with this place. Especially this celebration is carried in summertime when it is the peak touristic season, so it collects a lot of people from around the area.
Armenians hold three major festivals in Syria every year: the Day of Virgin Mary in Kesab, the Day of Saint Anne in Al-Yaqubiyya, and the Day of the Holy Cross in Tel Abyad. Al-Yaqubiyya is a small town located in the northeastern part of Syria, 15 kilometers away from the city of Jisr Shughur, northwest west. The presence of an Armenian community in Al-Yaqubiyya in the 5th and 6th centuries AD is a fact affirmed by the discovery of a capital column in 1898 when digging was carried out to lay the foundation of a room 40 meters away from the shrine of Virgin Mary. The village of Al-Yaqubiyya is overcrowded in summer by believers who head there to visit the church of St. Anne. Since when have you been living here in Al-Yaqubiyya, I mean Syrian Armenian?
Well, Armenians started immigrating from historical Armenia since the 8th century, and in different ways and in different times. And according to historian stories, they say that the most important immigration has been done in 1046, when big communities were living here. According to the documentation in Jerusalem, it was mentioned that in 1320 there were a lot of Armenians living in Al-Yaqubiyya village, especially in the western hill. Mainly they have their church and they have their habits and traditionals. Later on, for different reasons and purposes, most of them, or a lot of them, they immigrated away and spread it all over the Syria and all over the world. Course. In 1722, a big earthquake beat the area all, and the western part of the village was destroyed, including St. Anna Church. And upon that, they established another place which is in the eastern hill, and they again established their church, which was St. Theodoros, and the graveyard, and their all houses, and etc. Upon that, since 1950, according to the Bishop Revont, they established the date what is called St. Anna date. St. Anna Day, all the people, believers in Christianity and even non-Christian people, they nominate the date of St. Anna. And they always come to St. Anna and they celebrate and they pray, holy pray, and they celebrate in singing and dancing and presenting their habits and traditional in different ways. For example, they have their special habits. They still keeping their habits, their traditional, their living way. They have their own church. They have their own school, which was established first in 1929. Under the name El-Yaqaza School. Total population living here just in Syria, in Yaqubiyya, is like 60 families, around 1,000 inhabitants or population. And a lot of them were immigrated inside Syria. For example, in Aleppo we have 250 families. In Latakia we have like 60 families. And a lot of them were spread away abroad in all of the world. So this is the case. What I would like just to tell you, that most of them here in Yaqubiyya village, they depend upon agriculture, and they grow mainly olives and another fruit trees, of course. And the people living in Aleppo, they have the link to their villages. Still, they are keeping their school, keeping their church, and we have in St. Anna Day, they celebrate every year, the last Sunday of August.
Festivals aren't the only form of Armenian cultural activities. There is also the many cultural events, such as the Armenian Cultural Week, which was held this year, where a documentary about Armenians in Syria was shown for the first time. The most common idea about Armenians is that they are skillful craftsmen, whether they are making a unique piece of gold or fixing and maintaining classical cars.
As a Syrian Armenian, a young businessman, I'm very proud to be living in Syria as an Armenian. We are, as an Armenian, we do have many skills. We are very skilled, very hard workers. We love to do everything perfectly. At the end, I would like to say we are an art makers. We are an artist. We do like to reach the optimum in everything. In Syria, thanks for the government, thanks for the people, they gave us the opportunity to be a part in a Syrian community and to be an effective part in this Syrian community. As an example, I can tell you that we are in many fields very strongly and powerfully, like the industrial and the mechanical automotive fields, like the jewelries. But at the end, wherever we are, being as an Armenian, we are very hard workers. We are trying to reach the limits of the optimum in everything. So here in Syria, we do share the Syrians. We do share them to improve the Syrian economy forwards, being a very important part of the Syrian economy and the Syrian community. The Syrian economy is getting better, getting forward.
For years and years, the Armenian craftsmen helped make Aleppo the industrial and commercial center it was and became.
Armenian, they are hard-working people. They take their responsibility very seriously, and professional people too. But the problem, you see, sometimes good is not enough for them. They want to make everything perfect, and that is not easy to do it on daily basis. Well, in Syria, from these small retail shops to big companies, big corporations, manufacturers are all over Syria, especially in Aleppo and Damascus. We have like 1,000 registered members at Chamber of Commerce of Aleppo. This is only in Aleppo. Maybe we have a similar or less in Damascus. Well, and we have a member at the board, at the management. Just for one example now, we have a committee. This committee is a members coming as a member from Chamber of Commerce of Aleppo, of Syria generally, and Chamber of Commerce of Armenia, to cooperate together to improve the relation, trade, economic relation between our both countries, Syria and Armenia. So I think they are doing quite well.
These were some aspects of the colorful Syria and its orange thread, the Armenians, who are another color in our beautiful rainbow, and a beautiful sound in the orchestra of life and love in Syria.